30 years ago, it was $2,500. If you want to buy one now, it's about $4 grand. So what this does is this will cut and thread the spoke all in one turn. Oops, let me get a non-thread. But the spoke blanks, there's no threads.
Yep.
So just a J bend.
Gotcha.
So got my measurement there. So basically, put my spoke in the cutter. Let's say we're going to cut it to, I'll say that, 280. So it's in the cutter. All right.
Yep.
Cut.
Gotcha.
Throw the spoke at you.
Yep.
Grabs the spoke. And now rolls the threads. Spits it out.
And then look at that.
And there's your thread.
Why are you skipping?
Because you're going to just do that. This is one of the reasons I've adopted doing it this way, because I'm splitting it up into fours. When I split it up into fours, that interruption thing is easily compensated for.
Gotcha. So you're in an open shop and you're often interrupted, such as when we stop by. So you're positioning your work that you can return to it easily.
Exactly. Okay. So the reason why I only did half the spokes on the drive side is because I'm only doing half of the spokes. And as I go, you'll see.
So I'm a neophyte, but I see that this happens before the tape.
Oh yeah. So as I did every other hole on the hub,
Yes.
I'm doing every other drive side spoke hole on the rim.
What is this tannish material at the end? Is that
Spoke
red
prep.
lacquer?
Yeah, it's a very mild lock type of substance. It helps with oxidation, so you don't have corrosion issues.
Are these steel spokes?
These are stainless steel DT spokes, 14 gauge, and they are brass spoke nipples. And I am a brass spoke nipple fan, especially on the rear wheel, because they allow you to true them many more times than aluminum. They also won't corrode and break.
How come they don't make stainless steel nipples?
Price, cost of making them.
As I understand it, brass is also quite flexible, right?
Yeah, so it has some give to it. So now I've got half of my drive side spokes. Now I'm going to move to my non-drive, and how I figure out which hole to put it in is I start with my first spoke. This is my first. Years ago, I would have labeled it A, B spoke, C spoke, D spoke. 25 years of doing this, I don't do it anymore.
Sure.
But basically, I just go through, and I'm lining up the next spoke on the other side, because the next spoke is going here. I want the hole to be one that way.
Gotcha.
So then I just thread that up. So a lot of other way of doing it is to throw all the spokes in the hub all at once.
That seems like a great way to get confused quickly.
Confused and scratch. You know, this nice anodized aluminum coating on the rim will hold up much longer, but if I'm building a carbon wheel, the ends of a sharp stainless steel spoke will scratch the carbon pretty easily. So now I'm just going to go and I'm going to do every other hole on this side, on the non-drive. And there again, once you do one round, it's pretty much, you're just going to the next spoke, the next spoke, the next spoke.
And I see you can safely bend the spoke a bit.
Oh yeah.
when you're threading it.
Oh yeah. You do far worse when you ride them.
That's a really good point.
And they also, when you start crossing, when it gets tighter, the last one's going to help out the bend.
Oh yeah, I'll be twisting on them pretty hard here. I'll also be twisting on them when before I actually get them laced. See, I'm pushing and pulling on the hub pretty hard. It's not going to hurt anything. People say this is a slower way to build a wheel, but in my opinion,
There's right and then there's
speed
fast.
is not important when you're building a wheel.
Yeah, same as software.
So,
And this is a 32 hole.
32 hole, 3 cross wheel. try not to stick yourself in the eye with it. So now you gotta take the wheel. They're straight. I gotta get the twist to them. So basically I'm putting in the twist that you're doing when you're riding. So I'm rotating the hub forward.
What does that do?
So basically this is, when you ride the bike, you're pulling the wheel like this. So you wanna put a twist into the spokes so that you're kind of using that. If they were straight on, or what they call radial laced, it's a much weaker wheel in a side-to-side motion. It actually is a stronger wheel up and down, but so now I'm going to continue the pull by pulling the second set of drive spokes over, and it's a 3 cross. So I'm crossing, this spoke is crossing this 1, this 2,
oh my gosh,
this 3, and I lace it on the 3rd. And then I'm going to go to the spoke that is, of course, not next to the other drive side spoke.
now it looks like you don't have enough room to pull it through.
So I use my second favorite tool in the shop, nipple holder.
Look at that. God, there's nothing better than the right tool. There's
So it's spring loaded, so you just put a twist to it, put your nipple on the end of it, and push down, and it holds it enough to start it. So there again, I'm going to do 3 again, 1, 2, third one I'm going to lace. And see, I'm bending the spoke pretty good. It's not going to hurt it. Just to get it started, I don't have to go crazy. So wheel building isn't really necessarily hard. It's repetition.
Yeah, it's like weaving, you know? Like a lot of attention to detail.
If somebody pays attention to what they're doing and follows the steps, they can be a good wheel builder. I would say I'm a fairly decent wheel builder. There's some guys that are just, I don't know how they do it, but their wheels are amazing. I mean, you've been riding hand-built wheels of mine for years, and you've had good luck with them.
Oh yeah.
There's been a few instances, but...
Well, I think most of that comes down to rider, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest thing, if you're ever going to do one, Fred, the biggest thing to do is keep your spokes separated. You got left and right, or drive and non-drive, and it's just taking your time. I mean, I probably could go a little bit, if you guys weren't here, I'd probably go a little bit faster. But also things to look at is where your valve is. You don't want that to be in a cross. You want it to be in a straight. So I've seen that come in. People brought in wheels that they've done themselves, and basically they've laced it. It's structurally fine, but you'll have issues with getting a pump on and stuff like that. Just little things like that.
Gotcha.
Like I said, it doesn't necessarily hurt the strength. You can hurt the strength if the holes are slightly offset on this rim for one side to the other. So you could technically hurt the strength of that. So now I got the drive side done. You can do the same thing to the non-drive.
These are the standard, the J-hook style.
Yep, standard J-bend.
The straight.
Straight ones, you actually would lace all the spokes in the hub at once, because with the straight pull hubs, most of them, there are spots where you cannot actually get a spoke in or out with a spoke in place.
So I could swear once I saw you thread a spoke right in front of me using like a reel of spokes. Did I remember that wrong? I could swear you had like just a reel of these and you...
I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you.
So is that different? These came from a different
Nope,
place?
same exact thing. I'll show you quick.
Okay.
So I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing 1, 2, 3, and I'm lacing it under the third. So sounds like you like to buy tools, Fred. This is a cool tool, but you probably won't use it very often. What you can do is take an old busted spoke. Just use that. You can actually take a file and just kind of cone shape the end of it, and basically you'll just catch it with a thread, and that'll at least get you started too.
Oh. So you cone it so that the end of it doesn't really have threads anymore? Or
Yeah, you just want it to
just
kind of
enough?
guide it, and then just so it's easy to take it off, because you don't want to thread it on and thread it off.
Very clever.
There's a couple companies that make some that are just, like, they look like a punch that's been sharpened, and it's just basically a pressure fit.
Oh, okay.
Eric, who works over there, he likes that style. I like this style. It's kind of just because I've used this forever, and I tend to not change very much.
Just stick with what works.
Yeah. We don't do this as much in the shop as we used to. Oops, let's throw this over there. I only dropped one, that's pretty good. It's because it's early in the day. I think in the day my hands are tired and I drop all kinds of things.
Is that from just the gripping and, you know, grabbing stuff and?
Getting old, my hands are falling apart.
Yeah.
All right, so wheel is laced. End of my chair. That was truing stand time. And you mentioned bending the spokes. The first thing I do is take my 11, about the one thing I use an 11 for. I basically am putting it on one spoke and the other spoke, and I'm twisting. What this is doing is this is help seating both the J-bend and the cross. So basically, with the machine-built wheel, you just got to rub up this going all the way around it. Where this is the step that with hand building doesn't happen with machine-built wheels. So that'll loosen up the tension a lot. Now I'm going to start this side, the same thing. And these spokes are resilient; they can handle this with no problem. Do that. You also kind of grab. Grab and pull. I'm just trying to suck these J-bends into the hub. Just trying to settle stuff in. Okay, so really loose, that's fine. So now, basically what I do now is this is another spoke specific tool. Also a very fun tool. And basically there's a slot in the end of the spoke nipple. And there's a slot on the tool, and so that's going to catch in. It's kind of like a Yankee screwdriver. I don't know if that's a good term to use anymore, but
Nothing's a good term anymore.
I know. So
hello. What?
So I always start at the spoke at the valve hole, and what I'm going to do, just because I'm pretty much used to this, the spoke calculator I use is pretty consistent, so I kind of know where to go. I'm basically going to bury the spoke threads. So the threads are basically going to disappear. And years ago I could see that with no problem. But nowadays I'll use my fingernail to just catch the edge.
Gotcha.
So now this one's got spokes, threads showing, this one does not. So I can kind of see, but I'll just check if I catch the edge of my thumbnail. At this point, I want the nipple and the rim to play nice together. So I'm just putting a dab of lube on the actual eyelet, not on the threads. Because that tan stuff
Yep, you wouldn't want those to interact, gotcha.
is your lubricant on the threads. This is just an old wheel. I would do it on everything.
By the way, for our viewers, the ATB that Keith is using is some of the best lube I've ever found. I've tried lots and lots.
So now I'm just going to even up these last few.
Oh, so you've gone to a different tool now.
Just a regular black stroke wrench. And there again, I'm not tensioning them, just getting these ones that this tool's shortcoming is.
I need to get some spoke wrenches. I only have the one, like the circle spoke wrench that has like all the different sizes on it, which is good for fixing something, but not good for building a wheel.
It's funny, some shops like to sell those because they figure people are going to buy them and ruin the wheels and come back. And I don't like to, we keep them in the store, but I like to warn people that it's easy to wreck one.
And I've had that thing for, oh god, 20 years.
Just so you can see, this tan stuff doesn't mean it's threads, that's the thing. Yeah, just to check it. Some people like to go a little bit longer on the strokes. At this point, the wheel is still a little bit close to it. I tend to like to keep a good starting point on the wheel and all right, so that is pretty much spokes even. So right now it's out of true, which is fine, but humans made the spokes, humans cut and thread the spokes, humans made the rim and the hub, so tolerances are a little off. So now this is where you true the wheel to bring it into true. That's really not that bad. We'll come back a little quicker. This is one part of the bike that tolerances have definitely slackened over the years. Rims are not as square and true as they used to be because we don't have rim brakes anymore. And tires are so big that if the round is slightly out, they don't, doesn't really matter.
So when it touches, you loosen, you don't tighten.
I'm tightening.
Are you tightening?
In this case, I'm tightening. When you're working on a wheel that's already been out there, sometimes you loosen.
So it tightens going not righty-tighty, lefty-tighty, looks like. Okay.
It's
'Cause you're
upside down. Yeah.
I see, okay. So you're tightening when it...
So now you're getting close when both sides of the truing stand are contacting the rim. Sometimes at this point, it starts to annoy me, and I will just get rid of one side. The stickers also annoy me. They run really low on the rim.
It's because the rims are getting flatter.
Yep.
Flatter and wider.
Okay, so now basically, just with those few spoke turns, the wheel's almost true now. It's not perfect, but it's almost there. So now that's the lateral, the side to side. Now I need to get the round.
Okay.
So the round is basically probably hard to see, but just running my spoke. It's not the most pleasant noise in the world. So basically what I'm looking at is the gap from a high spot, that's all low, and that's high. So really I only got a little bit of a high spot. So that's actually almost in tolerance. There again, this was a road bike rim with a 700 by 23 tire on it, and it was an older rim. It would actually, you would probably get it even more round, but I'm assuming you're probably running at least 2 4s, if not 2 6s. Even if it's slightly around, you're never going to feel it. So what I'm going to do in this is I'm actually going to try to take out those couple of high spots. In this, even while just truing, I know Emily doesn't do this much, but you sound like you do, Fred. When you're truing a wheel for round, you need to do them in groups of 2. You want to pull on this side of the rim is the same as this side of the rim. So you can do that in a couple of ways. I do it in either by just doing 2 spokes, or if it's longer, you can do 4 spokes.
And you do it in groups so you don't
mess
change
the
the side to side. Okay.
And you will a little bit.
Sure.
So there again, I'm just doing a little bit. Not even, yeah. So. So now this one's kind of like, here's the spot. It's a little bit this way and a little bit this way. But it's really not 4. So what I can do is I can actually split it up and do a bigger turn here, and then a little bit less here.
Okay.
So basically I've done the same amount of turns. So right now you're round. Just about. And if you get a dent,
If you get what?
if you actually dent the wheel, what happens is you're pushing the rim up, so you're bending, and that's why the spokes will feel loose, because you've actually shortened this distance.
Never happened. Never heard of such a thing.
Never happened. So it's close there, so I'm going to go back and check the lateral, because it will go out a little bit. Just a touch, not bad. And it's just that little bit of a difference.
That's amazing. I would so get that wrong because I'd just be hauling on it.
Nope.
Like, you know.
Nope, it's just tiny little turns. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna check the dish. The dish is the relationship of the rim and the hub.
The dish is a relationship between the rim and the hub. Okay.
So where the rim sits on the actual hub itself.
And this tool helps you check that.
Just
Aha. Do you have this tool too, Fred?
Not yet. It's in my list.
Not yet.
so basically I'm just on 2 spots of the rim and in the center of the hub, and I check this side, and we're within about 1.5 millimeters. That's pretty damn close.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
So what I'll probably do is now while I'm truing the wheel, I'll concentrate on the drive side. That'll pull the rim just a hair over. Right now, if this was the dish, honestly, I mean, I don't have feeler gauges right here, but you're about 1 millimeter. You're fine. The only time you might be dead straight is if you were building a wheel for a track bike, a velodrome bike. It was one of the aero ones, and the tire tucks into the actual rim. You would probably be a little bit more concerned, but we don't do that stuff
The
anymore.
tire tucks into the rim on those bikes?
Yeah, they basically kind of make an arrow.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Also, we can check kind of where I am with spoke tension. So this just measures deflection.
Do you have that tool, Fred?
Not yet.
It's on your wish
It's
list.
also on my wish list as well, yeah.
So we're almost dead on where we need to be with spoke tension. So basically they want about 100 kgf, and that tool gives me a reading, and then I just know from my chart that I'm pretty damn close.
What is KGF?
Kilograms of force.
Okay.
All right, since we're really close, now I do stuff that people cringe about. So I need to make sure the spokes aren't wound.
What does that mean?
So when you're tightening the spoke nipple, you
Yeah.
can actually wind the whole
Oh,
length of
okay.
the spoke.
Okay.
So this is, people tend to cringe.
Yeah, like anything worse doesn't happen while you're riding the thing down a mountain.
And I'm kind of feeling to see if there's any movement.
And this unwinds them, or this just
Unwinds
alerts?
them.
Okay.
It'll stress everything. There's a little bit of movement there, but that's okay. Now we're gonna check again. Pretty much dead on still. So there's a couple of things I like to do to stress everything. I don't know if this is just what the old guy taught me to do, but I actually kind of tap across this. And if you're musically inclined, there's some note to that. Actually, a real company told me to true them to F sharp. I don't know what that means. There's one thing I do on the vise over here. So I'm not crushing anything, I'm just holding it.
Now you have an adapter in the vise too. So
Yeah, it's a soft jaws, it's aluminum.
it's aluminum
Yep.
soft jaws.
Yep, and I've barely got it tightened. What I'm doing is I'm just tapping each of the spoke heads.
And that's a flat-ended.
Just a regular drift,
okay.
punch, yep. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just settling those spokes into the hub. I'm not hitting hard, I'm just using the hammer weight basically. And I lost count.
Sorry.
Right. We're good there. And do the other side. Just listen, it's not a ton of pressure, so I'm not hurting anything by.
So the cumulative effect, if you hadn't done this and handed it to the customer, is what? That the root, it would just untrue quicker? Because
It could, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, things will settle in.
Yeah. And even after all this, everybody knows after you ride a brand new wheel,
Oh, it needs to be true.
you pretty much
Definitely.
need to true it.
Yeah, usually with a mountain bike we say dozen of 15 rides. A road bike we say like 200 miles. And there again, I'm not tightening. It's just holding.
Did you know to do this? Did you know this was a step?
Oh, I've never seen this before.
This was that my old boss. Yeah, this is the way they did it. And like I said, there's a bunch of good ways to do this. There's no wrong, in my opinion, would be grabbing a drill and just going to town.
Probably what I'd do.
We had a guy who used to work here years ago, more of a sales guy, and he was going to build himself a wheel. And he saw what my old manager Dave used to do back in the twin days, where he would use the drill. The guy built.
Sure. Qualified.